Hello, I'm going to read a story called Katz from the book The Neon Wilderness by Nelson Algren. At 9 o'clock of a midsummer evening, a young man named Katz stood on the corner of North Clark and West Erie Streets in Chicago. He had $65 in a wallet on his hip, 4 shots of old Fitz under his belt, and no one but himself to believe in. He had no need of any other having $65. The delightful varying ways he could distribute this sum, and all the devious city ways, crowded his mind. There was no room in his anticipation for anything but the city's changeful colors and the fastest means of spending 65 fish. He had no friend, though he had lived in the city all his life. Yet he knew every shadowed corner of North Clark Street, every pool room with darkened windows and a fake padlock on the door, all the curtained parlors and the right way to ring, one long and two short, and ask for Marie. He decided firmly against Marie. She had a way of never letting him go until he was broke. He wouldn't ring there until he was already badly bent. He was tempted by the pool room with the fake padlock, for he held a good stick of rotation and had once lived on it for almost 2 weeks. But that took too long, the endless waiting for the other fellow to finish his hand. And he didn't want to drink any more. That could well spoil a man's evening. It was depressing to wake up on a plank in the Chicago Avenue station and have to wash up with a bunch of underfed derelicts from God knows what alley. And on top of that, to have to wait half the morning for some dago judge to come around to tell Katz he could go home. So it was Sheeny McCoy's. McCoy was a sport, so long as you didn't call him Sheeny. All the boys were sports. None of the boys were Sheenies. But he'd have to play tight from the pocket. The Sheeny ran a tight game. Up 2 flights, the long moment of being surveyed through a peephole, and the hard-faced welcome, the bitter, unemphatic invitation. Seat open at the corner table. That was the sort of sullen welcome Katz appreciated. It showed that the real sports believed in Katz's bankroll. It showed that so long as he had money, he had value and a place. It was something for Katz to belong to. Katz didn't want to be judged, this night or any other city night, by anything but his bankroll. He didn't want to be welcomed anywhere save for what his hip pocket was holding. All other welcomes were false, all other faiths unreal. At 20 minutes of 10, Katz had $80 on the hip and 22 singles before him. At 10 minutes of, he had 90 in the wallet and 40 before him. It came so fast he became confused and had to depend silently on the dealer's alertness. The dealer was a sport, too. Every time Katz won, he tossed a $half back across the green baize of the table, the dealer ringing against the shaded bulb above him to show it was his and not the house's, and said thank you to Katz. That let them all know that Katz was a real sport, too. At 5 after 10, he had nothing in the wallet but his photostated discharge. 8 quarters, the last of the bankroll, were stacked pathetically before him, a remnant of his brief powers. Katz blew, holding the quarters tightly and feigning indifference. Tell him where you got it and how easy it was, McCoy encouraged him at the door, offering him $1. Katz declined the bill. I'll be back, he said tersely. Nothing like keeping up a front. He wasn't any Chicago Avenue bum from God knows what alley to be taking a handout. Not yet. But the good feel of the liquor was gone with the good feel of the money, and the old luck feeling was slipping fast. On the corner he shifted uneasily one foot to the other, replaying that last big hand in his mind for one last time. He let himself win it, then put it out of mind forever. Nobody was through in Chicago any Saturday night, now with change in his pants and a little heart under his ribs. Katz believed in the city. Katz believed in himself. Katz believed in lucky bucks, fast money, and good women. Sure, it was a lucky buck. He could feel the luck stuff by rubbing the quarters against each other in his pocket. Which was the luckiest? He chose the smoothest, turned swiftly into the nearest bar, and laid it face down on the 26 board to keep the luck stuff working. He rolled 34 before the girl behind the board realized she was beaten. So he bought her a shot of Old Fitz and ordered the other 7 shots lined up in a row before him on the bar. When they were all set up, he started at the left, for luck, and downed them like a single drink. The luck feeling was returning. All he had to have now was a game, any game. On 7 quarters? He laughed confidently to himself, feeling the liquor, as though the joke somehow was going to be on someone else just this once. He returned to McCoy steadily, in the manner of a man who has just replenished his purse. "Your seat's took," McCoy told him suspiciously. "It's open," Katz contradicted him flatly. "I told you I'd be back. It ain't 10 minutes." McCoy motioned behind Katz's head, and the shill called high school got up to make room for the live one. As he sat down, Katz's eyes avoided the warning above the dealer's head. Players must start with $5. "How you playing?" the dealer asked, as though he couldn't place Katz. "Pocket," Katz answered, tossing the 7 quarters negligently on the cloth. If McCoy asked him to show folding money, he'd tell them a thing or two. He bet one of the quarters blind. 3 hands checked. When it came around again, Katz looked, saw nothing remarkable, and bet a half as though he had them. The remaining hand saw him. Katz bet $1 he didn't have, fumbling in the coat laid over the back of his chair, coming up with his palm half closed on nothing. The hand checked, and Katz shoved the empty hand down his pants pocket as he took the pot. $3.50 to the good. High school took the place of the player beside him. Katz hid in the weeds for 5 hands running, feeling the shill's nearness shadowing the luck feeling. Then came up with a pair against high school that brought him 4 singles and some change. He bet the 4-back blind on the next hand, caught the case ace, and was back in business with 9 singles. High school sat back looking sullen. Did they call him high school just because he'd never gone near one? Katz wondered idly, and raised the next pot to the limit. Found himself with nothing and bet with confidence. McCoy, with a jack showing, called. McCoy bought a second jack. Katz, on a loose call, saw him every card all the way to the last closed card. The singles dwindled. The last one was a tray. He glanced at his concealed cards and saw its mate, a pair of trays against a pair of jacks. If he played them strong, they could be just possibly good. Let the luck stuff hold now. McCoy hesitated, checked, and Katz bet the limit without faltering. McCoy put his great paw on his money, as though to guard it, then laid it over his cards to guard them too, then waited, peering down into his folded hand. Katz waited. The dealer waited. High school waited. McCoy glanced furtively through the drifting cigar smoke at Katz. To Katz, the big man seemed to be crouching. But behind McCoy's eyes, he sensed McCoy's slow mind working, like a heavy door being opened slowly by an unseen hand. With the swiftest flash of insight he had ever felt, Katz heard himself drawing slowly, as one good-time sport to another, in a take-it-or-leave-it I'm-no-chiseler tone. "I got 3s, McCoy." McCoy tossed over his cards. "3s beat a pair," he said, satisfied and grateful, then pointed steadily at Katz's cards. The dealer turned them up. 2 lonely trays. "What I thought," McCoy said. "A Jew trick. It don't go." His hand covered the pot. "I told you straight," Katz said steadily. "You dropped cold." "Back off," McCoy told him. "A Jew trick." And didn't sound grateful at all. "I'll back off," Katz conceded good-naturedly. He'd be glad to get out of the joint with the pot. He shouldn't have tried anything at McCoy's. He should have gone to Marie. He could still go there all night on the change in the pot. There wasn't any pot. It was McCoy's house, and McCoy's game, and McCoy's dealer. "I told you back off." "I'll take the pot first. I win it." High school hit him from the right side, and the dealer hit him as he spun from the other. With his hands strapped behind him, McCoy came at him heavily, lifting him by the crotch. Katz slid on the bottom step with one leg bent beneath him. McCoy stood on the top step looking down. His cap lay at McCoy's feet. McCoy kicked it down to him with contempt in the kick, as toward anything belonging to any Katz. He unbent the leg, still sitting, tested it, and rubbed his cap across his mouth. The cap came back bloody. He licked his lip, looking up at the big man, and swallowed a slow trickle of blood. "You'll make me mad at you, Sheeny." "Some Jew trick," McCoy mocked. "I got threes, McCoy." "Come on down here, Sheeny. I'll show you another Jew trick." Cat rose heavily. "You'll wind up spitting." He wiped his stained fingers across his mouth, put one hand on the doorknob to be sure it wasn't locked, then added, "Get back up in your Sheeny joint, or I'll come up after you," and left fast. But behind him, from the half-open door, heard big McCoy chortling, "Tell him where you got it, Katz, and how easy it was."